Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is an exciting day. It's College COD Tuesday here on the College COD Bravo stream. And who better than to bring it to you? It's your boy OG Susano, your host for today, and my co-caster Mick. Mick, how you doing?
Look, man, there's any day of the week I sit there and get to talk about Alabama and Georgia in the same night, I'm gonna call it a pretty darn good day, quite honestly.
Oh yeah. I definitely feel the same there. It's gonna be a great night. We've got Old Dominion Esports from Old Dominion University going up against Alabama Crimson from the University of Alabama. Quite an interesting one tonight, Mick. Both teams are, quite literally almost within the same skill bracket, if I would say so myself.
Yeah, I mean, considering these two squads, they sit there, they're within the same spectrum. I mean, we're obviously getting to the stage of the season where we're not going to have matchups that are two just across the board, crazy enough as it is, and two opposite sided of one side of the fair, albeit. But I mean, at least at this stage of the game, we sit there, have LCQs come up here soon. We have postseason coming up now. I mean, this is the last week. Well, I mean, we already mentioned it. This is the last week. We're now on the stage we're on the last day. Besides and excluding makeups, which we don't even really put on stream, but at least when it comes around to broadcast, this is where everything's supposed to be thrown out. Everything's supposed to be settled. Everything's supposed to be known right here, right now, because this is the conclusion for the majority of teams here in the league, and they're going to want to sit there and straw.
Exactly so. So let's get to our head-to-head for tonight because both teams, like we talked about, they're within the same spectrum, and there's definitely going to be an interesting, setup here for tonight because looking at these records and looking at them right now, you have Old Dominion, who's currently 12-17, against Bama, who are 10-8. Now, as we hop over to Old Dominion, there's going to be 16-6 in the hard point. Quite a nice number, if I do say so myself. Search and Destroys out of 10-6, and then Controls out of 5-4. Then as we head over to the side of Alabama, Hardpoint's a little bit much to hope for, 9-15. Search and Destroys out of 10-8, so a little bit more of an equal playing ground there. Then Control, once again, 5-6. Only a 2-map difference for the Search and Destroy and the Control. Mick, overall, I think definitely Old Dominion just have maybe a chip, if you will, above Bama right now.
Yeah, I'd say they have a little bit of advantage. I mean, looking overall at the score line, especially when it comes down to the hard point, they look so much more consistent in it. Sure, they still had themselves 6 losses, but we're not talking about one of these top 25 teams, one of these top 10 teams more specifically. But overall, looking at Bama, looking at what they have to provide, they could go ahead and switch things up. They can get themselves, like I said, being the postseason now coming up here soon. They can tighten things up, but I'm not really sure how much it will matter at this stage of the game. They have to look extremely impressive to know that when they go into this postseason, once they go into next week, the week afterwards, and get to these bracket-style scenarios, they can't really mess up too much. So we got to see what they're going to be coming out swinging tonight and show that they've really improved over the course of these past couple of weeks.
Indeed so, and well, talking about these teams, let's head over to our home team right now because Old Dominion Esports have quite an interesting roster. You have Revan, Nevermind, Noodles, and Roach. And now, if I remember correctly, this is Nevermind's last match here tonight in the CCL. We give him a salute and a goodbye and a appraisal and a handshake at the door, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, at least then, I mean, Nevermind's done while he's been here in the CCL has been outstanding thus far. And I mean, he has no reason, even then, if this is his exit day, he needs to make sure to show that, obviously Kobe on his last game looked outstanding. Nevermind wants to go out on the same exact note. Go out with a game of his lifetime. Make sure to close everything out. Make sure to say, all right, you guys, I handed playoffs to you on a silver platter. Make the most of it. Get yourself a pretty good run in the meantime and make sure to show what we're made of and really represent the crew. But already Old Dominion, though, we know what they had to offer. We've seen them on plenty of occasions. They're an outstanding squad. We got to talk about the away team, though. We got to talk about Bama. We got to talk about these teams that are looking a little bit more iffy, the ones that are having to go ahead and step things up, show what they're made of here in the meantime. That's going to be Crimson. They're going to be consistent of the likes of Honcho, MSJ, Nyko, and Click. And all these 4 players, once again, same kind of spectrum, same kind of outstanding performances on time-to-time basis. Even in last year in Cold War, they look so darn good. But here in Vanguard, I don't really know if they've gotten too much of a gist to really play off of just yet. But even then, they still got their opportunities.
Indeed so. And, I look at Nyko right there. He's definitely going to be in Click as well. I'm thinking about it now. That are definitely going to be players that I'm going to have to keep an eye on for the rest of the series, see if they can pull through. But overall, I think both teams here, have a lot to go for. Old Dominion, you have Nevermind heading on his way out. Then you also have, Bama, who are trying to bolster their records as we head into that LCQ. But talking about what these teams duking it out, let's look at our maps for tonight, Mick.
Yeah, and just a precursor, y'all. It's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world. It's going to
Oh
be
my
two
gosh.
overall maps. We're going to see the likes of Bocage for 2 right off the get-go for that hard point and that search and destroy. And then afterwards, I sure hope you like Tuscan, because boy, do we have a lot of it if you love this map. And if you're a Tuscan fan, by all means, you're about to hoot and holler. You're going to love your life here tonight. And that is even if we go through all 3 of those maps. But in the meantime, we're only going to be considering one of those maps to be realistic in the point before we even see that we have ourselves a map 4 or map 5. But as it stands so far, I think Crimson had themselves a chance in the search and destroy and the control. It's just that Old Dominion looks so much more consistent in hardpoint that, I mean, for that to show up twice, it's kind of a critical cornerstone to really work yourself off of.
Indeed so. And, the one thing that worries me about repetition like this is that, hey, some teams, they're much more, centered when it comes to Tuscan. Bocage, at the end of the day, it's very hard to try and make this a fundamental map when at the end of the day, it's just, throwing yourselves at a lobby and trying to hold areas as best as possible. Spawns get really shifty, and Bocage search and destroy, I think, is really the best viable thing for this map. Hardpoint's always going to be a hard one, but hey, overall, the Tuscan one, yeah, if we see a team that is much more polished when it comes to Tuscan, they're definitely going to take it. So, the less polished team might take the first 2 maps. We might even have a reverse sweep tonight, Nick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, quite honestly. You look at Bocage, you look at the aggression of the map, and it's such a unique playstyle in comparison to others because, I mean, obviously Vanguard is so fast, but Bocage is even faster. It doesn't sit there and it doesn't double it down. It sits there and multiplies it to the highest exponent. I mean, it's just so darn fast. It's so darn aggressive that if you see a team dominating that kind of factor, they're going to sit there and make themselves a home on Bocage right after that first map. They're going to say, we have home field advantage. We're feeling so much better. We're going to go ahead and come out swinging, and we're going to grab ourselves that first map. And then once you go over to Bocage for the search and destroy, you're saying, we literally did not go anywhere. All we did was just change the mode in the meantime. The whole cleanup crew came out. They sat there, removed the hard point, put down 2 bombs, and gave us sides to be working with in the meantime. And I think, honestly, that would also speak volume to the control, knowing that it's not some kind of huge mode differential. You sit there, play for search, and you play for control. You have to play for these double sights. Honestly, I think this could be a 3-0 one way or the other. It just needs to start strong for whoever really wants to take the lead here.
Indeed so. And now let's get into this map because you're already seeing a nice explosive beginning. 2-for-1 trade. You're going to see Old Dominion hop onto the hill 4 now. And immediately the spawns, oh my goodness, Love almost gets a 2-piece right there. Absolutely insane. But, the spawns, once again, are always going to be the forward topic for this first hill. You need to get these spawns for P2. And, while it is great to grab as much time as you can, overall, we're going to see Roach from the side of Old Dominion get some great shots, but they will be losing the spawns here pretty soon with number 5 breaching the back line.
And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the side of Old Dominion thus far. Still able to go ahead and capitalize, get themselves some time in the middle because, I mean, as we mentioned earlier in those last couple of weeks, that almost P1's more of a tumbleweed site. You don't want to really get yourself too much action. You don't want to sit there and duke it out too much on that side. You want to make sure to set up for these spawns. You want to leave it there, but you want to capitalize on it. You want to grab some cheeky points here and there, see if what you can get done, and already Old Dominion making very, very quick work of that. Then, rotating across the map, looking for these spawns, trying to set up towards the bag. They're not really having too much relative success in that, but thankfully you got a couple players over there in the barn to really fight for it.
Indeed so, and you look right there, top barn being a bit of a point of interest here. These players want to make sure they can get some, horizontal coverage on a more lateral view, but you're going to clear out the back. Bama still maintain the spawns. So all the players from OD will need to try and wrap around. They're going to be trying to get a bit of a battle here towards the tank, but once again, barn being such an interest point for Old Dominion, they will not allow anybody to get through there, and Roach still stays alive on the hill, sticking true to his name.
Yeah, you even saw it there. I mean, you saw Click, you saw Honcho able to go ahead and stand up with the respawn and say, okay, we're right here on site once again. You're trying to push our site, you're trying to push these spawns, but because we sit there and have them so efficient, we have them so quickly, and we know we die pretty overextended, that's perfectly fine. That's going to take a couple extra seconds to get yourself to the spawn, for you to set up, to go ahead and grab these kills, and just never, and nothing's really going to work out too well for you. So already we see the next site coming up. It's going to be P3 now. It's going to be right here at the bottom of the last. And everybody else is trying to go ahead and just duke things out, find themselves somewhat of an advantage. Already Old Dominion getting themselves a little bit of time. Also to grab a pretty darn good bit of kills as well to back things up. They got to get themselves a little bit more though, because going ahead and being behind 25, they can't really let this thing slip out from under them. So they want to make sure to grab as much control off this one alone, and possibly the entirety hill if they really want to get themselves a sufficient lead.
Exactly, and with the lead always being such a close proximity, you know, 25 may not seem a lot in a grand scheme, but on this map, oh boy, that means a ton. But they will be able to close that gap for now. Roach immediately, and the side gets a three-piece. Absolutely great looks out of him. He's going to hold that scrap for now, but you already look at it, the way of this rotation. Once again, the players from Bama have the rotation on lock. Everybody from the side of Old Dominion are just sprawling to get back on. But hey, with a 10-point lead, that's not too bad. But you will need to focus the rotations as you go on, because this next hill, while we focus on this one, is not going to be as forgiving.
Yeah, and already another thing that's not looking very forgiving is just Old Dominion generally. They are holding things down. They are slaying players right now. They're looking so darn good to just keeping their guns warm that Alabama, they got to catch these things up, because you can already see Click does go ahead and win out that gunfight right there and can go ahead and follow up, push, and look good, aggressive, and find some time on the side as well. But, I mean, looking at what Old Dominion's done thus far, I mean, when you sit there and give them these one-on-ones, 9 times out of 10, it looks like they're winning them. You can literally look at the scoreboard for that. They are slaying things out. I don't feel like they have enough real influence on the site yet and on these spawns, because they seem to be a little lackluster in that department. And honestly, we need a little bit more out of that. We need to see them make work of this, because these kills alone aren't going to carry them to victory.
Indeed so, and you're going to already see right here, Love has a great position to be able to get a 1 or a 2-piece, but unfortunately, though, he will get shot from the back, and that's going to be a bit of an influence from mid. The P1 being a bit of an influence point, Revan's going to be pushing towards the back. Now, a forward-thinking team. They have the spawns for new because of this middle interpretation that the side of Old Dominion tried to use. But overall, you will be besieged, and this is not a good look, because your AR in the back, well, if you did have one, was immediately taken out towards back L. They still have the spawn. And there you go. Big plays out of Honcho. But once again, Revan spawns back up, ready to take on the action. And Nyko's going to lose his life as well.
And already the spawn's not really working out too well for Old Dominion, as you saw Crimson looking to go ahead and push you up, go and get the pressure off and say, look, you can hold these spawns, but how well are you going to hold them? We're going to create some kind of altercation, make sure the job becomes that much more difficult. And it hasn't really done too much work just yet, because you can already see them rotating, trying to get set up for the next side, and at least trying to play around the map a little bit more so. And even then, it's costing Old Dominion a little bit of time, but they know they're not too worried about that. Honestly, Old Dominion, I feel like they're overextending right now. They're trying to fight for the site. They're trying to grab some time, but there's no seconds left now. You're right back to P1. You need to be setting up for P2. You need to make sure to grab those spawns, get over there to that open side of the map, and make sure you can get yourself a lineup in the middle. And already in the meantime, though, Roach will be sitting in the middle. He'll grab a couple of points. He'll grab a couple kills. The guy's looking so good as it stands right now.
Indeed so, and the overcompensation pays off in most cases where overcompensation is not going to be welcomed by good standards. This is what we've seen so far from the side of Old Dominion. They've got a great amount of hill coverage, over 30 seconds in terms of points, and right now, as this hill's becoming a ballroom blitz, well, Revans and Roach run the hill, make sure that they grab a maximum amount of points, and you look at it again, Mick, number 5 from the side of Bama's going to have to try and go on the flank, but you already see number 3, Noodles, making sure that, hey, we learned from what happened to that first set of rotations. We're going to implement now.
And even then, I mean, Alabama's just forcing themselves down the middle, looking to grab some time, but also grab themselves some kills. And sometimes it's working here and there. It's working pretty well for them, but they can do a little bit more here. They're set up for P2. They can grab themselves some time. This was their best point, I would say, when it came around on the rotation thus far, looking at P2. And that's because they had the spawns. Well, thing is, Old Dominion gave those up once again. We saw them having control of that left side of the map the entirety of the time for P1. Then the spawns came through. Then P2 came out and they said, you know what? Nah, let's make this a little more difficult for ourselves. They can manage some space on the time. They can go ahead and get themselves on the hill for a little bit, but they need a little bit more than that to really show that they are worthy of winning out this game, because it's only a 40-point lead. And, I mean, you need a lot more to really show that you are here to play. You have that majority record when it comes down to hard point, and you can capitalize on that and really go ahead and put some salt in the wound.
Indeed so, and Noodle's going to try and stay up on site. Revan helps out from the back line. While you do grab the scrap, you need to start thinking about the new hill. Immediately, once again, Mick, these players from Crimson know how to get there. They immediately infiltrate the spawns, but Noodle's full streaks in all, 7 streak in total, will lose his life, but it's just a tough one because the sticky spawns, yeah, you know, able to use some AR work towards the back, but these players, you leave one, then the rest are still going to spawn up, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
That's quite honestly quite perfect there for Noodles. Go ahead and get those streaks into play. Go ahead and get them in your back pocket. You don't need to force them out right now because this side is a little bit too contested on the inside for you to really make the most of those streaks as it stands thus far. But even in the meantime, you know the next site is going to be wide open. It's going to be right there up top. Even then, it wasn't too bad of a sight when we saw it through the last rotation. Everybody was playing slow. Nobody really had more than 5 seconds at a time to really stand on top of it. You save that for P2 once again, if you're the side of Old Dominion. Quite plain and simple. You make sure those are more of a reserve, they're not there to really be relied on, and go ahead and get somewhat of a reset, because P2 has looked pretty weak for yourself, which is a really big problem thus far, but even then, you're not too stressed about it. You're sitting up 50 points right now, 53 points at that. You're not worried about what's going on right now. You're just worried about going ahead, closing up the game, hitting that 200-point threshold, and saying, all right, we can go home after this.
Indeed so, and you look right there, Crimson did get a bit of a run for their money. Love immediately cleans out the site, gets a nice 3-piece. That's going to be a 4 down. Players now spawning out towards the shed. Glove already knows where these players are going to come from. The play mind is insane. Thinking ahead, thinking forward. Right here, Noodles again from the back line, this time with a rat. Greatly done. Now they secure spawns. Click gets taken out as well. And once again, the slaying from the side of Old Dominion has been outshining. And they've even taken an objective, you know, playbook from you, Mick, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, already getting themselves set up, looking for these speed bumps, looking to go ahead and get some time on the clock as well. I mean, we sat there and saw Old Dominion. They were looking for that 200-point threshold. That's all they really need to put a nail in the coffin. You go ahead and get a 70-point lead on your opposition when it comes around to Bocage. That is outstanding. We can't really deny that. Already getting themselves such a massive lead, looking to go ahead and capitalize on it. As you can see, Roach looking to get some more kills, but can't really do it, getting cornered up. No real teammate back up there as Revan also drops as well. But, I mean, the rest of Old Dominion, they know that no matter what happens right here, right now, they say, okay, it's looking good. We have no problems here. We can flip to the other side of the map. We got streaks right here. We can also end the game on the same exact side.
Exactly so, and you already look at that. They even infiltrated the spawns, now have it for this hill. You're going to be able to grab the majority, and this will give you the dub if you do hold the full 40. But Click's going to be able to rock in. Roach gets the kill, cleans it up. Now they will need to work towards this new hill because there's quite literally 1 second of differential where it's in the air. A limbo point, if you will. But overall, this hill for this third set of rotations, everybody from the side of Alabama Crimson are deciding to, hey, let's get this together. Let's fight at once because right now we're kind of spread out.
Yeah. And already getting marginal success from that. Saying, we actually breached site. That's great. Problem is, responding there towards the back. We can't really contest this too much. We can't overextend. We can't swing at that wall. That's why you see Click looking to hang back towards that boat, lean up against that wall. Say, it's not all that big a deal of what we really do. Just make sure we do it together, which we really haven't seen too much out of Alabama yet, which is going to be a problem when it comes down to search and destroy, so they better change that up. But as it stands right now, Old Dominion, they've gone ahead and accumulated at least, I'd say, about 50 seconds total on this side of P1 over the course of this game. All they need is 14 more to close out the entirety of it. And sure, Alabama, their back is up against the wall. They're having difficulty to get some time here and know that they're right in the middle of the map and know that they're giving up possibly spawns for Old Dominion for P2. But because of all these factors being in the back of their head, Old Dominion is probably going to close it here.
Indeed so, with only 10 points left for Old Dominion. This is great stepping stones to get yourself the momentum you need for the series. The fight's going to be taken out towards Barn and Noodles. Greatly done. These plays are what makes the team the greats right now, and that's a big margin. 250 to 162. That is Old Dominion taking the first map.
In an outstanding manner as well. I mean, going ahead, getting a 90-point lead on your opposition on Bocage, doing your going ahead, going right back to this map for search and destroy. We sat there and mentioned home field advantage. Well, I think Old Dominion definitely made themselves at home. You look at that scoreboard, you look at them players, what exactly they were doing. There's no denying that they were fragging out. They look hot tonight, plain and simple. And for them to say, we just got to do this 2 more times, that's going to look really good for them if they're trying to go ahead and get themselves at a playoff spot. We said start strong, and you also, for some of your players, you may have to end strong here tonight. And that's exactly what they've done, at least when they're starting.
Indeed so. And looking at these stats right now, you got to give a shout out to Revan and Noodles. These plays were absolutely insane overall. You look at the side of Alabama Crimson, you know, it was very lackluster towards the bottom three. Honcho, 38 and 38, really was fighting for his life there. And only 32 seconds on the hill. You know, overall, the teamwork really wasn't there for Crimson, in my opinion.
You know, I gotta completely agree with that. I feel like Crimson, they seemed a little out of it. They seemed to kind of not really be on the same page overall. And I feel like, especially when it comes down to those sites, we saw them. I mean, every single time they were unlocked with each other, it was for P2 spawns. I feel like that was more of a standard for Call of Duty in general rather than an actual team play being thrown out for them to collapse, to get themselves together for a play like that. Instead of them actually making these calls, adjusting around the map, making new strats, making new rotations, getting themselves in different spaces, and they can work off that with each other. The final time we saw them really group up, besides when it came around to P2 spawns, is they sat there at that breach on that last site before we had that last rotation to P1 where they said, we need to breach this together. Those entire windows of time in between those two little spots right there make it very difficult for me to believe that for when it comes around to a second hard point, they're going to have themselves somewhat of a chance if they don't fix that stuff instantaneously.
Indeed so. And we're heading right back into Bocage. So this is the time to fix your positioning and to fix your team hitting, because search and destroy on Bocage is always about proximity, making sure that you can get the guy on the overextension or, you know, get overzealous and find the easy one piece. But if not, you know, you're really going to need to, you know, adjust, like you said, because Bocage will be our next destination for search and destroy. And then after that, it's going to be a 3 rounds of Tuscan. So this is the time to really figure it out once we get towards Tuscan and get it done.
Yeah, and even then, talking about Bocage, going right back to that map, we sat there and said, all right, it's pretty obvious, Old Dominion, they have themselves home field advantage when it comes around to Bocage. In Search and Destroy, the game slows down. You don't have to worry too much about that. You just have to worry about a full collapse onto a site at the same time. Alabama, they have to do that. They saw marginal success when it came around to doing that on P5 when it came around to the last map, but as it stands, they have to do it on a site, on a consistent basis, every single round. And not only when it comes to attacking side, that's just for one side of the field. When you put them in the different shoes, when you say you're now on defense, you have to play for these retakes. You have to get these spawns. You have to get these kills. You have to go ahead and rotate across the map, come from an alternate angle that they're really going to expect. That's the bigger problem, because you're already going to be down a player most likely. You're already going to have no control over a map. You're going to have to fight for that. And you have to almost treat those like P2 spawns, but it's not nearly as open, knowing that A-bomb is going to be right there towards the open. B is in a weird crevice that has a tunnel next to it that players love just running their routes through. And everybody else on the map is going to be setting up towards these chokeholds where they can make sure to get some kind of a speed bump off you. It's not more of a how fast can we get to site, how much can we get this retake, and how quickly can we do it. It all comes down to Old Dominion saying, you know, how meticulously can we place these tripwires? How easily can we set up these line of sights that find these easy kills? Because we know that as soon as that bomb goes down, Crimson's going to freak out and they're going to have to react fast.
Yeah, and with Crimson being overzealous in their team comp and chemistry overall, you're going to definitely have a lot more easier time if you're Old Dominion, like you said, setting those trap wires, setting those areas of conflict for, you know, because at the end of the day, it's all about positioning and influence on the map. And so if you're able to really set that pace and set the areas of interest where you know you're going to take these gunfights, that is definitely going to be the biggest one at the end of the day. And honestly, that's what makes a great team. If a great team can, you know, forward think, get to the sites and get to these bomb plants, get them fastly done, and then play around it instead of playing reactively, then the proactive team's always going to win.
And even then, it's also proactivity, but it's also making sure to future-proof yourself. That's another thing it comes down to. I mean, you don't just want to be proactive for a couple seconds ahead of time. You want to elongate that period. You want to sit there and make sure that, okay, we have something for a contingency plan. If they sit there and alternate for this, we have ourselves at least able to back up. Even then, when you find that first kill, when you're pushing a site and you can manage that, you say, okay, it's a 3v3 still. We can't go crazy here. Our fourth player is going to be allocated for watching a flank, watching another angle, watching something weird, and they might not get all that much action. That's totally okay. They may even die in the process because they're not expecting something to come out. but that intel is enough to let us know that our setup needs to be adjusted. We have to turn our backs. We have to sit there and do something different and then move around the map, or we're going to be ready for it, because otherwise that entire retake is going to sit there and work for their favor. They're going to be in a 3v1 at that stage, and whoever the defending side is, once that bomb's down, or whether or not it starts off the get-go, they have to be prepared for it. So a lot of things to consider here for Bocage. A lot of whether or not these teams can really go ahead and show that they can make these calls on the fly, and that's going to be the biggest thing I'm looking for here.
Indeed so, and I agree with you. It's all about, just trying to find the ways here and making sure that you've got the play calls that's going to, essentially get your team the victory. But right now, looking at it, let's hop in. We already see this four movement coming in from Old Dominion to get towards A. Like we talked about, B not really being too much of a popular spot. And, well, there you go. MSJ going to open up with the first kill. Click trying to stay up. Going to get some shots from Love. And, well, now the dogs are on the hunt. They know where this player is, and it's Nyko who gets that one.
And already 2 players off the board for Old Dominion, so pretty impressive start here from Old Crimson to get themselves the aggression and get on the site in an efficient manner, but also to back things up and get themselves some frags in the meantime. But already, they're now in a different situation. They're in a post plant, they know the bomb's down, they know it's right there towards A, and Noodles is the closest man to it, and he has to work his way across the map, or at least across the whole house, and go through all these obstacles of other players. He can't manage those kills, can't manage a round, and that's going to be one for the side of Crimson. A little bit of aggression goes a very, very long way when done successfully. So, with a weird start, I'd say nonetheless, they're able to get themselves a put onto the board. Crimson looking better, showing they can go ahead and start on the right foot here for this map. But as we mentioned, that just doesn't completely dilute the last map that we saw. Old Dominion on this attacking side, we have to say the same amount of aggression. We have to see some kills come out. We have to see them get confident and comfortable here, because with how slow this map can get sometimes, it feels very, very unorthodox for players, and they have to make these adjustments and make sure they can feel good while also playing good.
Indeed so, and with that first round being pretty fast, in my opinion, Old Dominion are going to really need to wake up here. And right now, we're going to see a quick move towards A. Once again, B not exactly being the most viable site, I understand, but you're going to get a nice little stun check there. Now, Noodles hanging out towards the back line. This is a big point of aggression, because you're going to need to wait for that player off the rotation. Nyko's going to be able to pick up Love, and right now, MSJ, well, he knows that Roach is in middle, immediately goes for the challenge, but he takes the wrong route, so he misses the player.
And even then, that timing was just so unfortunate there. And another thing that could be unfortunate for Bama is the trades that come out right now, because it's now 2v1. Click is in a situation where he's got to clutch things up, and even then, when he has his back going ahead and being thrown against the opposition, it's not going to give yourself the best results. So in an attack for attack, we got ourselves a mutual handshake and mutual respect for that side of the map thus far. I'm not going to say it's going to come down to who wins this defense, at least first, but that may be the time of the tale, honestly. When we sit there and see the aggression come out from both these teams, Old Dominion obviously being a little bit slower, but I mean, we got to see Old Dominion step things up. They got to find themselves either some aggression on the defense, or they have to go ahead and make some adjustments to where they say we play for complete retake.
Indeed so, and right now, really, like you said, you don't want to say the defense is the play to see, the clarifying light here, but it definitely is going to be a big component. And right now, you already see this close proximity fight coming in for A. Both of these players, Love and Hancho, do not realize they're pretty much just parallel of each other, and Love's not even going to realize he's been besieged. So now they know where he is. He's going to go for the shots. Revan even comes in for the help, and, well, they're going to get shot from the right, and that's a 2v2 now.
Already a pretty close one as we now make it a 1v2, but I mean, all things considered, you gotta look at MSJ having that high ground, able to work off of it. While it may give yourself an advantage when it comes around to the 1v1s, it also makes yourself vulnerable to be seeing that much easier. We already see him getting closed out there. I gotta say, man, I've been watching this map the entirety of the season when it comes around to Search and Destroy, and I'm trying to figure out, why don't teams sit there and primarily focus more towards the A side? We see splits. We saw Alabama in that last round go ahead and put a triple setup towards B. If I had the ratios, if I had the stats to sit there and tell you how many times B is hit comparative to A, A probably wins 80% of the time. why don't we use those numbers? Why don't we set up on the right side of the map and make sure we have a little bit more reinforcements to just one man right now? Because you can see, obviously, the cross is set up from MSJ. You can see Nyko there towards the middle. You can see Honcho with that first pick. They have a setup. They have that cross. Things like that. You can manipulate the map, but still not overpick towards one side to make sure you're really down. But speaking of down, there's 2 players down. Now make it 3. You got yourself a 2v3 in your hands for Old Dominion.
Yeah, and just to answer that really quickly, I think it's just because this map promotes a culture of lurking, you know? You don't want to give somebody the access to your back line if you're going to all focus A. So you immediately saw there, that kill from Honcho was massive because it stopped ODU to, you know, be able to get through to the site. And, well, they lost the life now, and now you can clearly see they're playing under discouragement, and it's a 1v2 so far, and, well, Revan's going to get shot from the back, and these are the types of things that you need to protect that back line.
Most definitely do, because Crimson grabbed themselves a tie game once again. We see it's a little bit of a swap thus far, and obviously the same kind of mutual handshake we were expecting. An offense for an offense, a defense for a defense. Looking good thus far, but things really got to switch up from one side or the other, because if we go into this whole round 11 situation, Old Dominion's entire first map seems to be out the window, quite honestly. Alabama's going to rally off this. They're going to say, we're looking good. We're feeling good. We found ourselves to elongate this matchup as long as possible. It's a completely different game mode. Sure, it's the same map, but, I mean, it wasn't even the biggest beating in the world. It just didn't look good for us. We can bounce back. We can show we're still what we're made of. It all comes down to whether or not we can get this bomb down. That's exactly what they're doing. Very, very swift, fairly quickly on the A side. And you see Old Dominion is already having to play for retake. They have literally 40 seconds and a 4v4 in their hands.
Indeed so, and right now you have a big play from Honcho towards mid. That's going to be a bit of a tough one. Click here, hanging out towards A, and Noodles gets the kill from the back line. Now, you need this player, number 4, MSJ, but he's going to get stun checked. There's only 25 seconds, so these plays need to happen instantaneously. There you go, MSJ coming in from the top line, from the top ropes, if you will. Get great kill. Now it's a 2v2, 15 seconds left. And this is the great thing about playing post-plant. You don't need to focus too much on, you know, getting aggressive. You just need to hold it down to the last 10 seconds. And with 2v2, well, you're going to kill that player. And it doesn't matter now because, well, Alabama Crimson are going to take that round due to the bomb explosion.
Getting themselves another attacking round on the board, showing what they're made of, and saying we can go ahead and double down and get ourselves a second in a row, but it all comes down to whether or not they can make sure to go ahead and put a nail in the coffin, because this is what I like to call the swing round. Obviously, you get yourself out there a double setup when it comes down to the score line, and a stage where you have 2 points on the board for one team or the other. But even then, the differential, one team going ahead being 2 points off, from finding themselves to win the map is that much more important. And already looking at the side of Alabama Crimson, it comes down to the hands of MSJ and Nyko there. And that last round, Honcho was able to step up, at least found one of those in the round before that, more importantly. But as it stands thus far, Old Dominion just isn't fragging out as efficiently. You can see all these players. You can see that more of them are going to be positive, but Love really hasn't been in this game at all as it stands thus far.
Exactly so, and we've seen too many times where Love gets taken out early, and the effect is not there, and there you go again. You lose the life right away. Noodle's going to get taken down, Roach as well, and Revan now realizing, hey, what just happened? We were just setting up a play. Now we're going to have to try and fight for this 1v3. Honcho, well, he's going to try and go for the defusal, but he knows where the player is, and immediately takes him out, and that's a quick defusal for Bama.
And the easy reads there. I mean, the communication from the team, the drop of the bomb, the little cheek, the little peck right there. I mean, it is just something like that. I think Alabama's starting to wake up, man. Crazy enough. I sat there. I know I had a lot of requests, but I mean, to go ahead, know that window's opening, know what player's up there in the top, and then capitalize on that. Already be ready. Knowing he's most likely either A, going to jump out, or B, at least hold it for a couple seconds to see if somebody's going ahead for that defuse with the way that you planted the bomb and the angle that you put it there. But that play alone sits there and shows that Alabama has himself not only a shot in the round and the slays as it stands thus far, but also, looking at the scoreboard, they have a chance in this game as well, this entire series.
Indeed so, and there you go, nice little trade-off right there towards the Z. Noodle's going to be able to win that one overall, and oh, Love now coming in big with a kill. Big play difference from what we've seen, and there you go, Old Dominion now, after losing 3 rounds in a row, are able to respond back, win the dagger round, and hopefully they can keep that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it really comes down to at this stage in the game. You sit there and see that things are much more difficult for them. They're going ahead, being diminished down. They're being picked off a little bit here and there, and their job's getting that much more difficult, knowing that they found themselves a pretty good start off to this entire series. But as it stands, we haven't seen too much of an actual streak on our hands. And I don't think we're really going to get there because it's just Bocage generally. But, I mean, at least a player to give themselves a 3K in a round. One player to step up and show that, oh my goodness, we can sit there and do this. One player to stand up out of their chair, scream at the top of their lungs because they just went off and actually found themselves something. And Roach could be that player. Already found the first pick for this round. You can make sure to capitalize on that, play towards middle, let your teammate pick anything off, and that's exactly what he's doing. Working around the gate, looking for another one, seeing if Honcho's going to be prepared for it. But instead, Honcho actually finds that kill in his own respecting. You can make sure the exchange is going to be there.
Indeed, and you saw the trade set up, and, well, the trade has been given. Cash been given, and there you go. Click gets a big kill towards the mid. Now you have three players working together. It's the three Musketeers. They know what they need to do. They've got a lockdown. And Nyko, well, he's just trying to find a player who's going to get overzealous here. But I think at this point, Old Dominion have realized, hey, these guys are opportunistic. They know exactly what they want to do. You do have one player breaching away from the trio. That's going to be Love once again. But I don't think Love's going to be in that position to really, cost the team here. But, oh, my gosh, and he wins it, gets the trade, and that was about to be a lightning-fast two-piece if Love did not win that.
No, honestly, the two-piece would have sat there and won the game for him. Going ahead, having the advantage, sure you have yourself the power play. You know exactly where they are if you're Old Dominion, but I mean, looking at what could have been done there, the kind of damage that could have been done, able to play around the map, go ahead, open up all that space, 1v1 scenario, you're on fire, you're finding your streak, it makes the thing that much more difficult. But Nyko instead going ahead, getting shut down there, Old Dominion go ahead and tighten up this game in an outstanding manner to show that the swing round doesn't really matter too much to them. They sat there, had that opening start they needed earlier. I sat there and said it's their home ground. And, well, when you're defending at home, you need to make sure to really go ahead and hunker down, find yourself these dubs, and show that you're not really going to let anybody make too much work out of you. So already, a 4v4 once again, 4-4 on the scoreboard. Everybody trying to go and get this plant down and Roach with the first kill here to start us off.
Yeah, they go big play out of Love to stop the bomb plant. And, we talked about Love last time. Well, look at Click. Click is 1-8 right now. He's been allowing his team to carry him. And Old Dominion win another round in a row and get themselves to match point.
And I think, honestly, that's all because Click has just been in these real choke positions and not really to just die there, but also to kind of give someone of a fight and know that, okay, well, you're not really fragging that too much. We're going to go ahead and make the most of this while we can. Their IGL, I'm sure, is making those calls on the side of there of Old Dominion to say, look, it's totally fine, and you just got to do what you got to do. But already Alabama using that intel. We sat there and saw they could find themselves some really, really clean picks, but they got to find that intel first, and they got to have some kind of a bait. They are trusting that MSJ will go off with that intel. They are trusting that MSJ will find these kills, go ahead and turn up and around and really turn things around for the favor of them. But as it stands thus far, Click's intel hasn't really given enough to be that catalyst to somewhat of a massive round to stand things out. Because we saw the swing round earlier work for their favor, but ever since then, Old Dominion has not lost anything.
Indeed so, and right now, this being such a crucial round, every player from the side of Alabama Crimson do not want to get overzealous here. You see the setup in Nannies right now. And there you go, Revan breaks through, breaches the defenses. No players are going to want to attack just yet. They know that, hey, there is a overwhelming support from the side of Old Dominion here. Click going to be able to win that one from the back of Tools. Now Noodles gets it done with the bomb plant, but Honcho's going to get a trade. It's a 2v2. Noodles tries to stay up, and he unfortunately does not see Honcho go through the tunnel. So this is a bit of a scary one. Do we go for the plant? Do we, expose ourselves here, or are we going to wait for Crimson to make a problem?
Well, no matter what, you kind of got to go for that plant because as it stands, I mean, you're on the attacking side and that's all you got left. But if you're Alabama Crimson, you have absolutely no players left. No real time to have yourself a comeback as it stands because it's now 2-0 in the series as Old Dominion close things out on this search and destroy on Bocage, showing that they made themselves at home on the first map. And sure, there's a little bit of a weird family affair going on, but at the end of the day, it's all kumbaya. You come out with a dub, you get yourself that second map onto the board, and you make sure to go ahead and say, control's looking good for us.
Indeed so. This is the time to really regain and reevaluate. And looking at these stats right now, Old Dominion, each one of these players really just showed up. Love had a bit of a slower game, but he really ramped it back into action, hit his fourth gear, and just started driving the road because he was having some great plays, got some better positioning, hung out towards the top barn, and that was his nest or coop, if you will. And looking at the side of, Alabama Crimson, Click unfortunately only got 2 kills this game. MSJ went crazy with 12 and 7. And overall, you just really, need to make sure that you're there for each other in the trades, because what we talked about before in the hard point, the lackluster amount of teamwork clearly was, a bit of an improvement, but still carried over.
Yeah, and I mean, all things considered, you gotta sit there and look at what exactly Love did. He stepped up during that time where we saw Old Dominion in a deficit, where we saw right after that swing round, those 4 rounds in a row, all purely because he said, okay, I need to get back in this game. But you sit there and look at what Click did. Obviously, he had a role in this game, but it just wasn't nearly as influential. The guy was trying to become relevant in this fight. He never found the opportunity, couldn't find the kills, couldn't even find the damage, albeit, which is that much more, I would say, heartbreaking. When you sit there and know that I'm not even getting hit markers, I'm not even feeling these kills if I do get them, because as we know, it's not 100 points just to get a kill off somebody. You need a little more than that. You need 125, 150 to really warrant that kill as it stands. And just know that you didn't even get nearly what you needed for either one of those kills. And even then, with Old Dominion, seeing the other players catch up, you're literally the last one in the race. And as we always say here, that you're only as strong as your weakest link. And quite honestly, Crimson had a pretty big one here today.
Indeed so. And, looking at the next map, we've got Tuscan Control. Now, we're going to be on Tuscan for the next 3 maps. You've had a bit of a tough time with Bocage on the side of Alabama Crimson. Old Dominion, this is their chance to really capitalize, take over, and just end the series 3-0. But Alabama Crimson, this is their light in the darkness right now. They need to come through. They really need to show up. But we're going to have to really see as we take this short break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere, because Alabama Crimson are going to need to reevaluate, reassess, and regain as we head into this 3rd map on Tuscan Control. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that extended break. Had a bit of an update with the game. It's Call of Duty. It's always interchangeable variables and elements that can delay, enhance, or possibly destroy broadcasts. But hey, it's all good. We're back at it. Old Dominion Esports currently up 2-0 against Alabama Crimson. Mick, how you feeling about the series so far? Exactly so. It's been kind of a difficult one overall, and well, I think we may have a game on our hands here. Tuscan Control, ready to roll. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's a bit of a production error there. No worries at all. But yeah, overall, I think it's going to be an interesting one. Crimson really have a lot to prove this one.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. Looking at what they got thus far, I mean, they need to go ahead and step up in some regard. They have to look good. They have to sit there and look great even. But, I mean, they got to look outstanding to know that they can also transfer that over. Show they can step things back up once again in that hard point. Look really good. Show they have some relevancy here in the fight. And show that they can find themselves to go ahead and try to come on top. But as it comes through later on, it all starts where it is right now. Going to the B side, surprisingly enough. And honestly, I got to say, I am a huge fan of this play. Every single time these teams will start on A, but at least grab yourself 1 tick towards B. You shift across the map. You say, at least we have that guarantee when time comes around, that is, if we fight A, and we're successful in it, which we see marginal success from, and a lot of people find themselves all 3 ticks over there.
Okay, sweet, awesome. Yeah, I mean, overall, it was a great play, but, you got to think about it in the long scheme. They were able to hold that B for a second, and Alabama Crimson really, did not exactly see that coming out of the playbook. They immediately 4-stacked A. Right now, we've got a great hold towards B, but the 2 ticks have been secured. A is always going to be that easy one to grab, and, well, Noodles, he cleans out the back line, and now this is going to make this transition even easier.
Most definitely will. I mean, already grabbing that 2nd tick, you sit there. If you're Old Dominion, this is massive. starting yourself out like this, having yourself a life differential of 3 now in your favor as well, knowing you're pushing onto the B side, completely just using A as a distraction, saying, let's get one player over there, see if they can win out these fights. But in the meantime, the contestant comes out, the plays come through, we sit there and see now B has complete control. This is something I've never seen before here within the CCL, as a team to go and capitalize on the opposite side, the more difficult site in the map, and then right as it stands right now, you just work for the flank, and that's exactly what Noodles is doing. I say gets a little overzealous trying to push for those spawns as it stands right now, but you gotta have your team to back that up, and that's exactly what Revan's doing in the church.
Exactly so, and you know, I mean, he was feeling himself. He thought he was on cloud 9, man, just rocking, you know, kill after kill after kill. Why not challenge the spawns, you know? But that tank head, he's just always going to be undeniable in the long scheme. But right now, Roach hanging out towards you. It's a bit of a tough one because you've got a player behind you, you've got a player in front of you, and Honcho's going to get some back of that. Roach still doesn't realize, so he will kill Honcho. But MSJ still creating terror from the front. There goes that last player. So now the backline has been secured, and you do not get the tick secured, unfortunately. So Click's gonna move forward, and well, now it's 7-9 in lives, and what looked like a pretty easy game so far is now, you know, bucking up in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, and all these lives just kind of disappear. We saw the cross to the mid. We saw old Alabama try to get themselves back onto the site, back towards the A side to be working on that and find this contention. But that's really been their biggest problem, is when they do that, when they sit there and cut through. That's where they also cut through Old Dominion. Old Dominion had no preparation for that, quite frankly. You already see they have no respawns remaining. This is a 4v5. They get a fight for control side as well. And with that initial pick off Honcho, even then, without the 2 other players getting picked off and it now being a 1v5 situation, when you lose that first round, and when you lose all those players right there towards the middle, and you said we have to still cut on the site because it's being contested every single time, MSJ has been the player that's on fire today for Alabama. And honestly, they got to be extremely thankful for the man stepping up when it matters most.
Yeah, you really have to give a big shout out to MSJ. Because right there, it was not looking like they had it under control. A site was starting to get secured. You needed a player to make a hero play, and well, MSJ stepped up, put on the cape, made it happen. And right here, Nyko's immediately going to get some big tags into Love. Now we have this play towards A, and you know, what we saw last time from Ultiminion, it worked, but it just, in terms of the long game of playing for that round 5, they only have 3 ticks. And so even if you capture this A, you're now contesting for that round 5.
Yeah, I mean, already looking to go ahead and get themselves a really good start. Alabama saying, look, we're going right back to the tried and true. We know that A site works. We know that we can go ahead and at least get a guaranteed tick of progress on that site. So worst case scenario, we grab ourselves 4, because B's pretty easy if you can grab that control for a little bit, but we don't need to grab the entirety of it. Just know we have a lead with Old Dominion not grabbing a single tick of progress towards A site. So it's an even trade-off. You're saying, all right, things are looking good. You know you can go ahead and back things up on that, but Old Dominion with that 1 life differential, Alabama knows they have this game in their hands and stands, or at least this round in the attack, but they got 2 more ticks of progress. Old Dominion's going to have to fight for their life, and at least the kills they're grabbing thus far are looking really darn good for themselves.
Indeed so, and well, Honcho's play towards the back line was a bit of a power play. Did get 1 player, but will lose his life. Love now hanging out towards this bottom stairs. The gun control going to be a big play, and almost lines him up, but does not realize the opportunity at hand. Gets shot from the back as Honcho spawns up, and well, that was an opportunity lost, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you sit there, you saw the second player. It wasn't impossible by any means, but thankfully you got there Revan to grab a 3K to say, look, I'm going to make sure we keep this life differential positive for ourselves, because that's what we really got wiped out from under us when it came around to that last round. And being on defense, that's quite frankly the biggest thing you need to do, because Alabama, if they station themselves, get the setup, get the lives that work for their favor, and push onto that B side, it's going to be a free game for themselves, knowing they could also put this up 2-0. I mean, finding an answer and putting it 1-1, that's not too shabby here, but I mean, Old Dominion didn't find that attacking round. Instead, it is straight just 1-0 in the favor of Crimson. They are make sure to capitalize on that. You got Nyko playing towards Church, playing right there towards middle. He knows that players are going to come from the side, try to get that free lineup towards Church onto that B side from the edge, but it's just not going to work like that. You can already see Roach playing just like a Roach, slipping into the cracks, not checking both sides, getting picked off there. It comes down to the final line of defense there back for Old Dominion, but they've already dwindled down so many lives in the meantime.
Yeah, that was a big play out of Love because not only is Click now a little bit too scared to try and hop on the site, he did clear out the back line, and now Nyko's going to be able to move forward aggressively, but you gave your team enough breathing room to be able to get through, and right now it's 12-6. You have twice the amount of lives. It's just about playing patiently. Do not get overzealous here because you have Nyko towards the back line. MSJ, once again, that hero player looking for the play, but he's going to get taken down. And Roach, like you said, slipping through the cracks, making this plays look like it's nothing. And, well, they clear out the back line as well. Now all players are spawning up. There's only 2 players left. It's Honcho and MSJ. And, well, MSJ's now been compromised, so he's going to immediately get attacked. But, oh, some body shots as he loses his life. And Old Dominion now come back with a round of their own.
Look, man, I know MSJ, we mentioned it earlier, guys going off out here to perform today, but a 1v9, that's a little bit too much to ask for.
Oh, yeah.
Player on the side for that can go ahead, but he's going to get broke on eventually, and these players are just going to collapse on top of him. And you know that Alabama didn't even grab that 5th tick. I mean, they're not too stressed about it. You know that Old Dominion only grabbed 3 in that prior round. They didn't really get too much to work with. And honestly, I think going right back to the A site, starting regularly like every other team in the league does, wouldn't be too much of a big deal right now. And even then, you can see the 2-2 split. Some players going through middle, some players going over towards that A side. But then you have Roach, who's playing like a Roach. You have those 2 frags. You make the call. You say, we had the life advantage. We had the presence on site. Split up, make them work somewhere else. Make sure to alleviate that attention because they don't know how many players could be over there because we haven't even touched the site yet for some reason.
Indeed so. I think it's just been a bit of some teasing around the bush there, but right now you're going to see a big play from MSJ hanging out towards the back line. He's going to be able to take out Noodles, opens up the middle influence. Roach now hopping onto the side. Every player from the side of Alabama are currently playing towards Church, but you have that one island player, MSJ, on the long flank. It's going to be a bit of a tough one overall. It's a little bit overzealous in my opinion, but it does play out. He does get the first pick. Now B's going to start getting secured here in just a second if they can get towards it. But right now, A does get the first pick acquired.
Yeah, already able to go ahead, capitalize on that. Looking for a little more, but already a progress on both sides. So, I mean, Old Dominion doing a very, very good job of just having entire attention across the map, making sure everything is being considered in this fight thus far, but they got to have a little bit more focal to work with right now because that's what they've been lacking thus far. But push it on this A side, able to capitalize on that, able to go ahead and almost finish things out. You got to finish that kill into Honcho, and there it is. ODU get themselves that first sight, and the A's now under their control. They have to move through the map, and Revan, thankfully, right there in the middle saying, look, man, I'm getting kills. I'm shooting bodies. I got to go ahead and follow up. You got to push on B. You can grab yourself that thing for free.
Indeed so, and already they're now contesting for that round 5. Roach going to be having a bit of a problem here towards the top. He does know that there's a player up here. It's going to be MSJ, but MSJ's playing more towards P5. Everybody from the side of Alabama are very spread out. You have 5 and 6 playing together, but number 7, MSJ, is on his own in P5, waiting for a push that is not going to come to him just yet. Noodles, though, will be attaining streaks here if he can get one more kill. He does have the GH streak, but will lose his life to MSJ. And once again, there comes the body shots. Revan responding back in kind from that last round.
Lily died for those body
and
shots.
And some teabags. Oh, my.
Oh,
what is
Old
this?
Dominion. You guys have captured 4 ticks of progress. You're up 8 lives, sure, but you got to sit there and pace yourself, buddy, because I don't know exactly what's going on in that head of yours because in that first round, things could not look too good. So already make sure to capitalize on this. Get yourself some more lives off the board. You see it now dwindling down to 15-5. So Alabama's definitely kind of cracking under pressures. We're going to see that Old Dominion will most likely close this out with all these lives to spare. But you never know. With no respawns remaining, we could see Alabama win what would have been a 4v15, but now it sits at a 2v13. Very, very difficult situation for themselves, but in the meantime, it doesn't even matter. Old Dominion close things out. They find the necessary kills. They say, no matter what, we're grabbing this attacking round, going right back to defense. This job just got so much easier for us.
Hey, man, mentals are out the window, I guess, Mick. People are just going absolutely insane. No more word of hearing right now that, hey, gentlemen, like behavior, or we're throwing it out the window. You also have to, credit that to MSJ. He did shoot bodies first, but overall, Old Dominion, these guys, like we talked about before, they're absolutely insane and will not give up anything in terms of these plays right now. They want to make sure that they're doing everything that they've got. And, well, as we see the capture coming in for A, they immediately acquire a flank.
Neither of them, they already acquired themselves at least a site to control when it comes around to A as well. I mean, Alabama's starting very, very quickly, starting very strong, but Old Dominion even stronger when it comes around to the kills. Make sure to set that life differential out. Getting 4 down, that's an entire team's work. They have to go ahead and get these flawless trades on the board if they really want to have themselves something. But Alabama's also switching things up. They're hitting towards B, they're hitting towards A. They have a very weird setup in the middle, and there it is. Honcho able to capitalize on that, knowing that this setup across the map, Alabama is absolutely everywhere. And if I'm Old Dominion, I'm saying, where the heck do we react? Give up A site. Don't even worry about it. You have the life differential. You had even more of an advantage earlier, but going ahead, getting scrambled up a little bit hasn't helped you at all. So just play for the kills, play the game as you're supposed to, and make sure you can guarantee yourself this round purely off B alone.
Indeed so. And there you go. That's going to be a nice little 4 down. Players are going to spawn up towards the back line. You have one player, Noodles, hanging out towards that side, but I think he's not going to be able to find him. Roach is hanging out towards mid, and yep, Glick does root out Noodle. So that's going to be a bit of a problem for Revan because he realized, hey, there's a 4-man coming on in. We're going to need to rotate back, and oh, there comes the 2-piece. Absolutely insane. Here comes the 3rd, and if you don't shoot bodies, you get the 4th.
Yeah, and I look, Old Dominion, I know they're shooting bodies, I know they're far ahead, I know they sit there and think they have this in the bag, but you have no idea how annoying it is to sit there and see them be shooting bodies and missing kills on so many different occasions because of that alone. But in a situation like that, you're to 1v3, it's very difficult to go ahead and pull things out. You see Love being there on the back end of it, not really going ahead and getting a frag to follow things through and get the exchange there, but already looking for a little bit more. And set up in the middle, Roach able to go ahead and get that kill, looking to throw out some util. Isn't going to work, but Alabama moved right up towards the church. See if they can find a flank, but it's just not going to work out. Revan is on the flank of his own, able to follow up to the back, make sure to put insult to injury. Now it is a 16-6 with the last round almost going to the hands of Old Dominion.
This is just filthy behavior, but hey, I'm here for it, I guess. You know, it's all good. 14-4 in terms of lives. Old Dominion already 4 lives away from taking this series in a 3-0. Love's going to be holding down the mid lane here from the top radio view, realizing that, hey, nobody's going to be coming in towards mid, so let's just start moving in, and, well, they are going to start compromising their position. Revan's on the flank. Roach, unfortunately, is going to get shot down, and this is great from Alabama to work as a team, but this is the wrong time to be working as a team. You've only got 2 lives, and here comes the hits from Revan, and there you go. Old Dominion filthily win this game 3-1.
In a disgusting manner and a very BM'd one nonetheless, ODU pulled this thing out. Now, I sat there and I'm not going to say I called it, man, because it's kind of my job to do stuff like that as an analyst. But, I mean, already starting off the game, we sat there and talked about the momentum. We knew it was going to work for at least 2 maps. 2 maps would already give yourself a momentum when it comes around to going to a 3rd map. ODU showed us that momentum. They got bigger and bigger and badder and worse to deal with and stronger every single time we saw what they had to provide. I mean, look at that scoreboard alone. Alabama obviously didn't want to give us the full stats across the board, but at least 20 kills for every single player. 24 minimum for every single one of them. The non-traded kills, at least 15 for all of them. It was outstanding, to say the least. Their control looked really, really good. That first round was a little bit iffy. I was kind of confused about the B hit right off the get-go because they couldn't capture A in the meantime because they found no players really towards middle and towards that left to split up to really capitalize on it. Look for a flank of their own. Everybody working in tandem to kind of be, as we sat there and saw earlier, like roaches or ants on the map where you just don't know what to do with them because everything's being touched at once. But regardless of that, Old Dominion really showed that they can step things up when it matters the most. And Alabama, I mean, I don't think it's the end of their journey by any means necessary, but they definitely have some improvements they need to go ahead and work on a little bit more so before next week comes around.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that we can work around and work towards here, but, you know, this was the last day for, you know, regular season matches. After this, you've done everything you can. You've made sure that you've, you know, tried your best and, you know, put your best foot forward. And right now, as we head towards that LCQ, you know, you're gonna have to start worrying about qualifying. You need to make sure that your team has the chips in their cards and everything else to, you know, stamp their ticket in. Because if not, then, you know, almost feels like the season was just a you know, club behavior, just hopping on and playing a couple games, you know.
Yeah, and all things considered, I mean, Alabama by no means necessary. Are they not here? They are here. They are present, they are attentive, but problem is they're not really, they're there in class learning and they're listening to their teacher. Problem is, they're not doing their homework when they get themselves home. They're not studying for these tests that are coming up. They're not putting in everything from beginning to end and following through with just as much as attention at those stages. So, I mean, going into playoffs, it's now a stage where things get that much more difficult. You can't just study all the time. I'm talking when you're driving back and forth between home and school and work, you got to be listening to some kind of a study guide through your earphones. You got to be sitting there reminding yourself, somehow looking for strategies so everything reminds you of what's going on to where you can make sure that you're reinforcing these behaviors 24/7. Like, everything stacks up to this point. Alabama, over past seasons, they have looked outstanding. But here today, looking at this last matchup that they had themselves before postseason, and the playoffs more specifically, but I mean, as they look, they're looking good. They're looking good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm going to sit there. It seems like I'm disrespecting them. I'm literally living in Bama right now, and I have plenty of love for these guys and this entire Oregon, what they got going on over there. Thing is, we have to see more out of them, though. I mean, looking at what they provided, looking at MSJ being that one fragger, he's not enough of a fragger to really go ahead and get the satchel on his back and carry the entire team. We can't see a player going 2-9 in search and destroy on Bocage. You need to work on that and make sure you find your adjustments because, as I said earlier, their comms, I feel like, were very, very clustered because we saw that in Search and Destroy and on Hardpoint when it came into Bocage. You got to get that map out of your pool unless you really feel that confident about it, and I don't think they should or do.
Exactly, I agree. This is the time to reassess and reevaluate as we head towards that LCQ. There's a lot of things that they're going to need to try and think about. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going anywhere. Me and Mick will be staying here for the second matchup tonight. We've got Clemson Esports versus Georgia Southern. Don't go anywhere. We'll be taking a short break, and we'll see you in just a second.